My wife faked a terminal illness to get me to sign over my inheritance, so she could be secure after I'm gone. I found her medical records proving she was healthy. I signed nothing. I transferred the money to a trust and served her divorce papers in the hospital waiting room. 36 male, have been married to my wife 34 for 7 years. We met through mutual friends, dated for 2 years, got married in a small ceremony. Normal stuff, or so I thought. My dad passed away 14 months ago after a long battle with heart disease. It gutted me. He was my best friend, my mentor, the guy who taught me how to fix a car engine and how to be a decent human being. When he died, he left me everything: his house, paid off, his savings, and a life insurance policy. After selling the house and consolidating everything, I was sitting on about $487,000. Not quit your job money, but life-changing money. I work as an HVAC technician, make decent money, but nothing crazy. My wife works part-time at a boutique clothing store. We rent a 2-bedroom apartment, drive used cars, live pretty modestly. The inheritance was supposed to be our ticket to something better. Maybe a house, maybe starting a family, maybe both. 3 months ago, my wife started acting strange, tired all the time, headaches, missing work. Then she dropped the bomb. I need to tell you something. I've been to the doctor multiple times. They found something. My heart stopped. What do you mean something? She started crying, full breakdown. It's bad, really bad. They think it might be. They're still running tests, but they said to prepare for the worst. I held her while she sobbed, asked what kind of tests, what doctors, what hospital. She was vague. Specialists, oncologists, second opinions. Said she didn't want to worry me until she knew for sure. Over the next few weeks, she had appointments constantly. Would come home exhausted, sometimes with bandages on her arm from blood draws. Lost some weight, which I now realize was just dieting. Started talking about getting her affairs in order. Then came the ask. Babe, I've been thinking, if something happens to me, I want to make sure you're taken care of, but also, I want to make sure my mom is okay. She's getting older. She relies on me. I nodded, not seeing where this was going. I think we should put your inheritance into a joint account, or maybe sign some of it over to me directly. That way, if it'll be easier to sort everything out. Something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but my dad's voice echoed in my head. Money makes people show you who they really are. Let me think about it, I said. She didn't push that night. But over the next 2 weeks, the pressure ramped up. Her mother started calling me, crying about how scared she was for her daughter. Her sister texted me about doing the right thing and being there for family. My wife brought home paperwork, actual legal documents for me to sign. It's just to add me to your accounts for protection, in case I'm not here. I looked at the papers. They weren't just for adding her to accounts. They would have transferred ownership of $300,000 to her directly. The rest would go into a joint account she'd have full access to. I need to have my lawyer look at these, I said. She lost it. Your lawyer? I'm dying and you want to involve lawyers? I just want to make sure everything is done correctly. You don't trust me? After everything? I'm fighting for my life and you think I'm trying to scam you? I apologized. Told her I just needed time. But something was gnawing at me. That night, while she was in the shower, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her phone, found her messages with her mother. What I read made my blood run cold. Her mom, did he sign yet? Wife, not yet. He's being difficult. Wants to involve a lawyer. Her mom, push harder. Use the headaches again. Maybe faint or something. Wife, I'm trying. He's suspicious. Might need to up the drama. Her mom, we didn't come this far for nothing. Get that money signed over before he figures it out. I kept scrolling. Found messages with her sister too. They'd been planning this for months. Before my dad even died, they saw the inheritance coming and hatched a scheme. The doctor's appointments were shopping trips. The blood draws were spa visits. The weight loss was intentional. She'd been doing some crash diet to look sicker. There was no illness, no cancer, no specialists. She was perfectly healthy. My hands were shaking as I put her phone back. I didn't confront her that night. I needed to think, to plan, to protect myself legally before I made any moves. The next morning, I called my dad's estate lawyer, explained everything. He was horrified but professional. First thing, don't sign anything. Second, you need to move that money somewhere she can't touch it. A trust, ideally. Third, document everything you can. I spent the next week gathering evidence quietly. Screenshot her messages, backed up to cloud storage she doesn't know about. Pulled our bank statements showing her appointment days, coincided with charges at nail salons, restaurants, shopping centers. Found her medical paperwork in her nightstand. Printed from some sketchy website, not from any real hospital. Then I moved fast. Created an irrevocable trust. Transferred $450,000 into it. Named my younger brother as trustee. The remaining $37,000 stayed in my personal account for lawyer fees and living expenses. Filed for divorce. My lawyer advised serving her somewhere semi-public to avoid any false accusations. She had another appointment scheduled, this time claiming she needed scans at the hospital. I knew from her texts it was actually brunch with her mom to discuss next steps for getting me to sign. I showed up at the hospital waiting room at 10:47 a.m. She was sitting with her mother, laughing over coffees from the cafe, not a care in the world, definitely not looking like someone about to get cancer scans. She saw me and her face went through about 15 emotions. Surprise, confusion, then panic. "Babe? What are you doing here?" I sat down across from them, calm, controlled. I wanted to deliver these personally. Handed her the envelope. She opened it. Watched her face crumble as she realized what she was holding. "Divorce papers? What is this? I'm sick and you're serving me divorce papers. You're not sick. You never were." Her mother jumped in. "How dare you? My daughter is fighting for her life and you—" "Stop." I held up my phone, showed them a screenshot of their text messages. "I know everything. The fake illness, the plan to get my inheritance, all of it." Silence. Her mother's face went white. My wife tried to recover. "Those are fake. You doctored those. I can't believe you would. Your oncology appointment last Tuesday was at a day spa. I have the credit card receipts. Your specialist consultation on the 15th was brunch at that French place downtown. I have location data from your phone. Want me to keep going?" More silence. Then her mother stood up. "You have no right to that money anyway. Your father never liked her. He should have left something to help this family. This family tried to steal from me using a fake terminal illness. I think we're done here." I stood up to leave. My wife grabbed my arm. "Please, I made a mistake. I panicked. I was scared about our future and You spent 3 months pretending to die. You had your entire family in on it. You printed fake medical documents. This wasn't a mistake. This was a con." I left them sitting there. My wife was crying. Real tears this time. Her mother was already on her phone, probably calling reinforcements. Now I wait for the legal process to begin. My lawyer says the evidence of fraud will help significantly in the divorce proceedings. The trust is untouchable. To everyone asking, no. I don't feel guilty. She didn't just lie about being sick. She weaponized my grief over losing my father. She saw me at my lowest and thought, how can I profit from this? That's not a mistake. That's character. Update 1, 2 weeks later. This got messier than I expected, but also more vindicating. After I served the papers, my wife didn't come home that night. Or the next. She's been staying with her mother. Good riddance. But her family went into full damage control mode. First, her mother tried the misunderstanding approach. Called me 3 days after the hospital confrontation. "I think we all need to sit down and talk like adults. There's been a lot of miscommunication." Miscommunication? You texted her to push harder and faint if necessary. What part of that was miscommunication? You're taking things out of context. She was stressed about the marriage and, stop. Don't call me again. Everything goes through lawyers now. She hung up on me. Then the real game started. Her sister sent me a long email accusing me of emotional abuse and financial manipulation. Said my wife only did what she did because I was controlling and she felt trapped. That I isolated her from her family and friends. That the inheritance should have been marital property anyway, and I was selfish for trying to keep it. I forwarded the email to my lawyer and didn't respond. Then came the attempted break-in. 4 days after I served her, I came home from work to find my apartment door unlocked. My wife was inside, going through my filing cabinet. She'd taken her spare key, which I stupidly hadn't changed yet. "What are you doing here?" She jumped. "I'm getting my stuff." I'm still on the lease. You can't keep me out. You're going through my documents. Those aren't your stuff. I need copies of our financial records for my lawyer. Your lawyer can request them through proper channels. She started crying. Why are you being so cruel? I know I messed up, but we can work through this. We can go to counseling. I love you. You faked having cancer for 3 months. I was scared. I thought if I was sick, you'd finally show me you loved me. That you'd put me first for once instead of always worrying about money. The mental gymnastics were Olympic level. Somehow, her faking a terminal illness to steal $300K was actually my fault for not being emotionally available enough. I need you to leave, now, and leave the key. I'm not leaving until we talk about this. I called the police, non-emergency line, explained the situation. Estranged wife, served with divorce papers, refused to leave property. They sent an officer who very calmly explained that she did need to leave and that we could handle the lease situation through proper legal channels. She left, but not before making a scene in the hallway about how I was throwing her out on the street and how everyone would know what kind of man I really was. Changed the locks that night. Cost me $180, but worth every penny. But here's where it got really interesting. Her family's next move was to challenge the trust. Her lawyer sent a letter claiming the transfer of $450,000 into an irrevocable trust was fraudulent conveyance. Basically, that I moved the money specifically to keep it from her in the divorce. My lawyer laughed when he read it, called me immediately. Here's the thing. Fraudulent conveyance requires them to prove you moved assets to avoid a legitimate debt or claim. Your wife has no legitimate claim to your inheritance. It was money you received before she claimed to be sick, and her illness is documented as fake. If anything, her behavior constitutes attempted fraud. We can countersue. Countersue for what? Fraud. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. The 3 months of psychological manipulation, the fake medical documents, the coordinated scheme with her family. It's textbook. I thought about it. Won't that drag things out? Possibly, but it also puts her on defense. Right now she's playing victim. A countersuit changes the narrative. I told him to proceed. Her mother's response came through the family grapevine. My wife's cousin, who I'd always gotten along with, texted me privately. Hey, not taking sides, but thought you should know. Her mom is telling everyone you're mentally unstable and that the fake illness thing is something you made up because you couldn't handle her actually being sick. She's saying you're trying to steal the money she is entitled to as a spouse. Classic Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. I sent the cousin some of the screenshots, just a sample. She went silent for a while, then replied, "Holy crap. I had no idea. I'm so sorry." She's not talking to that side of the family anymore, apparently. The divorce proceedings officially started this week. First hearing is next month. My lawyer says the fraud evidence will likely result in her getting minimal assets, maybe some furniture, her car, which is in her name, and that's about it. The inheritance, already protected in trust, is completely off the table. Small victories, but I'll take them. Update 2, 6 weeks later. Court was yesterday. Buckle up. My wife showed up looking like a completely different person. Gone was the sickly act. She was done up, hairstyled, nice outfit. Her mother and sister were there as support. They glared at me the entire time. Her lawyer tried to argue that I had been financially controlling throughout the marriage, that my wife felt she had no choice but to exaggerate her health concerns to get my attention, and that the inheritance should be considered marital property subject to division. My lawyer presented 1. Time-stamped text messages showing the premeditated fraud. 2. Credit card statements proving medical appointments were actually at salons, restaurants, and shops. 3. The fake medical documents printed from a template website. 4. A sworn statement from a private investigator who verified no medical records existed under her name at any local hospital or oncology center. 5. Screenshots of her mother coaching her on how to manipulate me. The judge's face was something. I've never seen someone go from neutral to disgusted so quickly. Her lawyer tried to object to some of the evidence, claiming it was obtained illegally, the text message screenshots. My lawyer pointed out that I found the messages on a shared family plan phone that I pay for. Judge allowed it. Then came her testimony. And this is where she really showed who she is. Her lawyer asked her to explain her side. She went into this whole thing about how our marriage was troubled, how I was obsessed with money after my dad died, how she felt neglected and desperate. She said the illness story got away from her, and she never meant for it to go this far. My lawyer cross-examined. You testified that the illness story got away from you. Can you explain what you mean? I started saying I wasn't feeling well, and then people were so concerned and I didn't want to disappoint them. People like your mother, who texted you to push harder and faint if necessary. She was just being supportive. Supportive of what exactly? The fake illness or getting the inheritance signed over? Her lawyer objected. Judge overruled. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I just wanted us to have a future together. A future that required your husband to sign over $300,000 directly to you, correct? That was for protection. Protection from what? Your fake cancer? Silence. The judge had seen enough. In the temporary orders, she ruled. 1. No division of the inheritance. It was separate property received before the alleged illness, and any claim to it was based on fraud. 2. The trust was valid and not subject to marital asset division. 3. My countersuit for fraud and emotional distress could proceed. 4. My wife was ordered to vacate any claim to our shared apartment and was prohibited from contacting me outside of legal channels. Her mother started yelling from the gallery. This is ridiculous. He's the one who... The judge shut her down. One more outburst and I'll have you removed. After court, I was walking to my car when her sister caught up with me. You're going to regret this. She gave you 7 years of her life. She spent 3 months pretending to die to steal my dead father's money. I think we're even. That money should have been shared. That's what marriage is. Marriage is also not faking cancer. Funny how that works. She stormed off. My lawyer called me that evening, said the fraud countersuit was looking strong. Her family's continued harassment, the emails, the break-in attempt, now the confrontation after court, was actually helping our case. We're documenting everything. I won't see significant money from the countersuit. She doesn't have assets. But it'll result in a judgment against her which will follow her forever. Every background check, every rental application, every future relationship where someone Googles her. Actions meet consequences. The final divorce hearing is scheduled for next month. My lawyer expects it to be quick. She's getting nothing but what she came into the marriage with. I'm keeping everything that's mine. The trust is safe. Final update. 3 months later. It's done. Divorce finalized as of last Friday. The final hearing was anticlimactic, honestly. Her lawyer tried one last time to argue for a portion of the inheritance as compensation for emotional suffering during the marriage. The judge wasn't having it. Called the argument remarkably tone-deaf given the documented fraud perpetrated by the petitioner. Final ruling, she gets her personal belongings, her car, 2018 Kia with 89,000 miles, and $4,200 from our shared checking account. I keep everything else, including the trust, which was ruled completely separate property. The fraud countersuit resulted in a $15,000 judgment against her, mostly symbolic since she can't pay it, but it's on her record permanently. She's required to pay 40% of my legal fees, $8,400. Due to the frivolous claims and documented bad faith, she doesn't have the money for the legal fees. Her mother is apparently covering it. Good. Let them feel some financial pain. After the hearing, I walked out without looking at her. Didn't need to say anything. It was over. But of course, her family couldn't let it go. Her mother cornered my brother at a gas station 2 weeks ago. Started screaming at him about how our family destroyed her daughter's life. My brother just got in his car and drove away. He called me laughing about it, but I reported it to my lawyer anyway. We're considering a restraining order if it continues. Her sister went on some podcast apparently, one of those wronged women shows, and told a heavily edited version of events where I was the villain who abandoned her sister during a health scare. Left out the fake documents, the scheming texts, all of it. A few people sent me links. I didn't listen. Don't need to. The court documents are public record for anyone who actually wants the truth. My wife herself hasn't tried to contact me directly since the ruling. Heard through the grapevine that she moved back to her hometown, living with her mother, working at a call center. Her credit is trashed from the judgment. Do I feel bad? No, not even a little. She saw my father die. She held me while I cried at his funeral. She watched me grieve for months, and her response was to fake a terminal illness so she could steal his money. That's not a mistake. That's not desperation. That's not the stress got to her. That's who she is as a person. And people like that don't change. They just find new marks. The trust is still intact. My brother has been a solid trustee. We've actually gotten closer through all this. I'm using some of the money for a down payment on a small house. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, little yard. The kind of place my dad would have approved of. Started seeing a therapist about 2 months ago. Not because I'm falling apart, but because 7 years of my life turned out to be a lie, and that's worth processing with a professional. We talk a lot about trust, about red flags I missed, about how to move forward without becoming paranoid or bitter. I'm not dating yet, not ready. Might not be for a while, that's fine. I'm 36, not dead, there's time. Some people have asked if I regret going so hard on her. The public serving of papers, the countersuit, the documentation of everything. No, I don't. She didn't just try to take money. She tried to take advantage of the worst moment of my life. She weaponized grief and love and trust, things that are supposed to be sacred, and turned them into tools for theft. You don't get to do that and walk away clean. My dad used to say that character is what you do when no one's watching. Well, I watched. I saw exactly who she was when she thought I wasn't looking, and I acted accordingly. The house closes in 6 weeks. I'm going to put my dad's old recliner in the living room. It's ugly as sin, but it smells like him, and I'm keeping it forever. That's the real inheritance, not the money. The memory of a good man who raised me to recognize bad people.
Thanks for following along, internet strangers. Time to close this chapter and start a new one.